Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Optimize FPL. We're going to be taking a look at some of the top transfer picks for this week. Let's get into it. So, starting off, we're going to be looking at how difficult each team's fixtures are. I believe this is from game week 34, but I think it's still prevalent to our decision making. As we can see at the bottom, there's a few teams that definitely stand out: Man City, Leicester, Spurs, Aston Villa, Brentford, Crystal Palace are all teams that I'd say would stand out. I think that it's good that Burnley and Southampton have good fixtures, but I don't really consider them to be players that you should be really focusing on for the doubles and for the future game weeks. And Liverpool, I think most people already have their players. We will also be taking a look at Chelsea's best players for this game week because I do think they have some good fixtures coming up. I know it says that they're harder, but that included the Arsenal game. So without the Arsenal game left, they have very good fixtures to the end of the season. So they're also a team to definitely target this week. We're going to start off with what team I think we should be looking at the most, which is Leicester. Okay, so starting off, we have Leicester. I think that they're a very decent team to look at. They got the double in 36, double in 37. They got great fixtures. I think that they're the team that's probably the best team to look forward to. Unfortunately, they do have the Europa League, so it kind of makes it, or the Conference League, sorry, it makes it a little bit harder to pick their players. But when we look at expected points, we're looking at Madison, Schmeichel, and in my opinion, Barnes can be a good pick. His expected goal involvement has been pretty decent in the last couple games at .33. So basically, one every 3 games, he's gonna get you an assist or a goal. Which I mean, basically for the end of the season, there's I think six games for them. So 6 games left for the season, or actually should be more. It should be more like 8. But yeah, 8 more games left for the season, roughly, give or take. I can't remember, but Barnes is basically going to get probably 2 or 3 more goal involvements by the end of the season, according to these statistics. So I think he's a good shout if you don't have the money to go up to Madison. Madison obviously is the best player, I think, in my opinion. If you need a backup goalkeeper, or if you want to replace Ramsdale because Arsenal's defense has been pretty poor, Schmeichel could definitely be a great pick. Tielemans and Iheanacho, they're more filler players for this. I had to have 5 players per graphic, and I think Tielemans and Iheanacho are probably the fourth and fifth best players to pick from Leicester, but they're just not great. You can maybe go for Fofana. He's a decent bench option. I'm just not sure if he's going to play every single league game, so that's something you have to consider when you're picking him up. Swiftly moving on to a team that I think has just looked absolutely amazing. I just watched their game against Madrid, and it was absolutely unreal how well Manchester City played. They are just an amazing team. I think that getting any of their players is a great pick. I have De Bruyne here as the main picture, but honestly, the best player from this team, in my opinion, is going to be Cancelo. I just think their defense looks really strong and solid with Laporte and Diaz. Unfortunately, John Stones didn't go off with an injury, but I think that actually probably does help Laporte's value in comparison to Diaz because he's a little bit cheaper, but also still has the consistency and the nailedness now with Stones being out because let's be honest, Ake is not taking his spot away from him. And their fixtures until the end of the season, they got 4 games left. They got Leeds, Newcastle, West Ham, Aston Villa, and they have Wolves to be rearranged, which is going to be either 36 or 37. Now, for my personal team, if they're in 36, I'm bringing them in right away. I'm probably going to try to bring them in either this game week or in game week 36. If it's in 37, I'm going to probably wait until game week 37 to bring them in, unfortunately. I'll miss the Leeds and Newcastle game, but they're just not worth ripping up my team for. But if you're on a wild card or have extra transfers, these are players that I would bring in right away if you can. If you're trying to bench boost in 36, maybe hold back. But honestly, other than that, I think these players are amazing and you should look to try to get them in. Jesus has been playing absolutely amazing. I know his expected points are quite low. That's mostly because of his potential of not playing very much. Yeah, I think that the order I have the players in is the order that I think are the best, and I think Cancelo and Laporte are definitely up there as the 2 best players. I think De Bruyne, if you can fit him in, is a fantastic player, but honestly, he's so hard to fit in. He's so expensive that it is hard to fit him in, especially with the likes of Son, Kane, Salah, uh, kicking around our teams. It's hard to get De Bruyne in. So Foden as a cheaper option, potentially if you want to take out Mount or Havertz after their double, could be a very decent swap too. Coming back to the double doublers, we have Aston Villa. So Aston Villa have 6 games left. They've got Norwich this week, which I think is a great fixture. If you're trying to bring in some players, I think this is a great time to bring in someone like Coutinho, Cash, Watkins, even Ramsey as a bench option. Because Norwich is a very, very good fixture for any team right now. They just look absolutely abysmal. They're definitely going down. I think it's actually probably confirmed mathematically at this point. But if it's not, then I think everybody could make some quick cash betting on them going down. And then they have pretty good double game weeks. I mean, game week 36 not so much because it's Burnley and then also Liverpool at home, and Liverpool at home is not going to be an easy game at all. But their game week 37 fixtures are actually look pretty amazing. Two home games, both against Crystal Palace and Burnley. Those are two teams that you definitely want to be targeting for the end of the season, especially. Maybe not Burnley because they're going to be trying to fight for to get out of relegation, but Crystal Palace definitely a team to target. The thing is do you want to target them with Aston Villa? Aston Villa have been underperforming for the last couple of games. They have been underperforming their XG and expected goals against. I think I was reading a stat that they were like expected to concede 5 goals and they conceded 9, and they're expected to score like 7 goals and only scored one. So they're definitely underperforming right now. But that does not mean that they are bad options. I think bringing in someone like Coutinho or Cash is a great option. Watkins is definitely a third option if you need a forward and you're looking at the 7.5, 8 million range. Watkins could be a good player to bring in, but I think that Cash and Coutinho are really the two players to look at from this team, in particularly Coutinho, just because of the form that he started with. Whether he'll be able to pick up that form again, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that he is a great player to pick up coming up in the next couple game weeks. If you're looking to get rid of someone like maybe like Rafinha or like Kulusevski, these are players that could probably go to Coutinho. Even like a Mount could potentially be argued that Aston Villa's Coutinho is better than Chelsea's Mason Mount because they have an extra fixture. It's just whether you have the transfers to actually make it happen. Moving on to the Chelsea boys, they still have a game to play against Manchester United this week, but I think that they are still absolutely fantastic players to look at for this next game week against Everton. Everton look absolutely dog awful. They are trash, and I'm not going to be surprised if they get relegated this year. They have been so poor defensively, and even offensively, they've been very poor. So if you're a Chelsea fan, you're probably looking at this game very excitedly, but also if you're an FPL player like I am, you're looking at this game week thinking, I should bring in some Chelsea players because that Everton team looks terrible. So I'm very happy that I already have Alonso and Mount. I have Rudiger as well. Whether he plays or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that these are probably the 5 best players. Um, Silva and Rudiger could probably be interchangeable, but I think Silva is a little bit cheaper and a little bit more nailed at this point because I don't think that Rudiger, or I'm worried that Rudiger won't play. I think we had this discussion in game week 34 for who I thought was the better player out of Alonso and James and Mount and Havertz. I have Alonso above James. As we can see in the last 5 games, I mean James has been injured, so I mean it's hard to take this with a grain of salt because he hasn't played very much, if at all, in the last 5 games, the last five game weeks in the Premier League. But Alonso has a great, almost one expected goal involvement in the last 5 games. So every single game he's been expected to get either an assist or a goal. His expected points 27.9 for the next 5 game weeks or next 4 game weeks. My apologies. Looks absolutely fantastic. I think he is definitely 100% the best player to bring in, especially at his price point of 5.6. Very cheap, very good player. Now when we look at Mount and Havertz, Havertz does have a better expected goal involvement than Mount has in the last 5 games, which I am a little bit surprised by. But that's probably just because Havertz gets into better positions. I think Mount is a better finisher, and I think he's going to create more chances, which is probably why his expected points are much higher than Havertz. I still again believe that Havertz is a worse pick than Mount, but we'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. And the last team for the teams to target is Tottenham. This might be just because I'm a Tottenham fan. It might be because I'm a little bit biased, but I think that Tottenham is a great team to target. I still think that is true even after they haven't had a shot on target in the last 3 games. I still think that their forward line is one of the better ones in the league. Their defensive line, I don't think I would put too much money on just because we leak goals like it's nobody's business, but I still think that we are a good team overall, especially attacking wise. That's why I have Son at the top. I personally have Kane and Kulusevski. But I think Son is definitely the player to look at. Our fixtures look pretty great. We got Leicester. Our double is a little bit difficult between Liverpool and Arsenal. But, I mean, just the appearance points alone, that's 4 points just for playing those 2 games. I mean, that's pretty good. That's like a player getting an assist in a single game week. So that's pretty good. And then also game week 37 and 38 have great fixtures. Burnley and Norwich, both in the bottom 3 or bottom 4, my apologies. So looking at their fixtures, they look absolutely fantastic. I think that Tottenham is a great team to look at. And even their expected goals, I know they haven't had a shot on target in 2 games, and Son and Kane still have an expected goal of almost zero point 0.7 each. That is ridiculous. That means the 3 games before that, they must have been absolutely killing it in the XG department. Kulusevski is again doing pretty well with zero point 0.3, but a surprising one actually is Emerson. I think Emerson Royale could be an underdog for who to bring in. He's only 4.5 mil right now. He has a double in 36. He has 2 great fixtures to end the season, and he's basically nailed in the team because Doherty is out injured. His expected points are almost the exact same as Kulusevski's, only 3 point difference roughly, give or take a couple of points. And for 4.5, it's hard to find a player that's going to be as nailed as he is and get the same amount of expected points. So Emerson is definitely someone to keep on the watch list. He's someone that I'm keeping an eye out for. And yeah, for the expected points, I mean, obviously Son and Kane are going to dominate that, 30 and 29 respectively. They're two players I definitely think that should not be sold right away. I mean, maybe if you're looking to get players in, like if you don't have Salah or you don't have De Bruyne, those could be two players you look at instead of them. But I'd say those are the only two players you should look at instead of Son and Kane in that price bracket. Anyways, those were my top transfer targets for this week. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. If you have other teams that you think are better to transfer targets, then please let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to subscribe and like the video if you found any of the information useful. I hope this helped, and good luck, everybody. Cheers.